the metaverse, if you wanted to just get back to the more broad meaning of it, it is existing in virtual spaces, and that doesn't necessarily mean just VR. Like I've been able to use the slimes to VTube and like do all kinds of VTubing stuff using AI voices. I've also been able to do motion capture. I mentioned the motion capture is interesting because this is potentially industry disrupting.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and our guest is
ZRock35. Hello.
Hello. Thank you very much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to get to speak.
yes, indeed.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, so what is it you're known for here in this in VR and otherwise, and how'd you get started?
I'll start off by just saying thanks for having me here, and I just wanted to, kind of say that this is I like being interviewed, and I'm gonna hopefully not mess this up too much, but here we go. So I'm kind of known as being a kind of a SlimeVR YouTuber, beta tester, reviewer, kind of. I've been into this for a couple of years now, about maybe 4 or 5 months or so, something like that. I got into it originally by doing the DIY project to make slimes of my own, and they were horrible. They're really bad. I didn't do a good job with them. Fern knows. But I did a little guide, and I was using these, kind of not the greatest slimes, and Fern kind of came out with the guide at exactly the same time, and that's how we kind of met. Probably saw that from the last interviews if you've watched this content. And we became fast friends kind of after a few more events happened along the way. And since then, we've been kind of hanging out. And with the slime thing, I became kind of like the party event coordinator person because I wanted people to have something to do. Like they got these new, fancy, ooh, I got my full body, I'm like, what do you do? Well, a lot of people know what they're going to do, but, some people are like, wow, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to dance. I don't know, and I was like, no, this is easy. We just make some parties. We'll make some dances. We'll make some, I decided yoga was something that I like to do personally just for my own health, and decided that like I was going to make that a regular thing. And just adventuring in VR chat with everybody in full body, which makes it so people like they pratfall, they do all kinds of fun stuff because now all of a sudden you can express yourself with your entire body. So and it's exciting for me. This is all fun. It's like virtual reality. Like when I was growing up, I had access to video games, and I played Game Boy, and I played Nintendo, and I played all the classic games going up, and when Xbox and all that stuff. And then I finally got into PC gaming, and I was like, I was into Rust. I was a Rust one of them. Terrible community, awful community, but there's some nice people, but like honestly, like wow. So I was into that, and I was starting to get kind of burned out on it. I was running servers, and I was doing a whole bunch of like, modded servers with Rust. And then I was like, I got to try something else a little different. And I saw VR. I was like, I never really had a chance to do VR, and I had a gaming rig. So I decided to like, hey, let's dip my feet in. And I got a Quest, and I was like, okay, cool, and then I went in, I played Half-Life Alyx. That was great, wow, full cool experience. And then I kind of saw, oh, VR chat, this is cool. So I popped into VR chat, and, of course, here we are with like the no full body tracking, and it's like, okay, this isn't like the most super awesomest thing in the world, not having my legs in there. And so I'm like, what can I do? And I saw like, oh, wait, you can use Connect. You can use Connect. Oh my God, I have a Connect. Okay, hooked it up, get the thing up there. And then it was like, oh no. Okay, I want to try and turn around. Oh, nope, turning is not working. Okay. Nope, turning is not. It was not happening with Connect. So I was like, oh no. So that lasted for about maybe 4 or 5 sessions where I was just like completely disappointed with the Connect experience. Hasten to add, it was driver for VR. It wasn't like the new Amethyst. This was a long time ago before Amethyst came out. I hear Amethyst is a lot better for running Connect. So, that was then, this is now. But anyways, So I look and I see Mystical, and the Mystical came out with a video that was, and I'd previously been somewhat aware of slimes. I was actually on the crowd supply list because I'd seen it come through, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, you know. But Mysticals had that DIY video, and it was just like, what? This is my jam. This is exactly what I love to do. I love to tinker with tech. I work with my hands. I like VR. I like all this, you know, all this stuff was just like the best. So, you know, first thing I see that video, I joined the Discord and I just started like ordering parts. Like, just like, I didn't really know what I was ordering. Like, I ended up with a bunch of proto boards and a bunch of batteries and a bunch of this and a bunch of that. And a lot of it was, and you know, didn't really know what I was doing. Kind of rolled in hot, you know. I was just like, let's just make some. I'm gonna make some trackers like right now. I was taking apart iPhones and stuff and taking that phone, you know, phone batteries out, and like I could use this and like and raiding the house. This is a classic SlimeVR thing. I need cases. What can I use as cases? Okay, Tupperware. That's kind of big. Little boxes over here. Maybe just cardboard. I could use cardboard. Maybe cardboard's not that bad. Baggies. You know, like my first slimes were actually taped together and put in plastic bags that I then like kind of taped with like straps and kind of just sort of made it sort of work. And my earliest videos, which are still there, show the level of jank, like excruciating levels of jank. I look back on it and I'm just like, oh, man. I almost wanted to like private them, and people are like, no, you kind of should leave them so people can see like the progress SlimeVR has made. And I'm like, you all don't see what I see. I see pain. I see like me now would look back at that and go, oh, you need to go to calibration event. You got to watch the calibration video. You need to fix your oh boy, you got a lot going on here. There's a lot to unpack. That would have been me to my past me, and now I'm like, I mean, so here's the thing, is because quick reset there. Because I got into slime and and me and Fern became friends, and we started doing the RGB shows and kind of becoming sort of little figures in the slime community because we're always there helping out and doing stuff and kind of keeping things happening. It developed more into like it also developed into a working relationship with the community, where I became sort of a node point by doing these events. Like every Friday, you know, we'd have these calibrate events and then yoga, and people would come to me and they'd show me cool stuff, face haptics, you know, various other projects that they were working on, and just the slimes, you know, new slimes, various things. Oh, I just saw you in the server. You just posted, you made your set, you know, glad you could make it, you know. So like there was a lot of like, you've made your first trackers, and now you get to meet the people that you've seen in the server finally for the first time. And it's really funny too, because a lot of times people get kind of shy. They're like, I only got the half body. I don't want to go to the events. Like, you know, like shoot, like, you know, I'd be embarrassed. Like, you know, like y'all are over there and you're doing all this stuff, and I'm over there just like, oh, that looks fun. Shoot. So I feel that, you know, so I kind of try and show, you know, like that it is happening. Like people need to, also, one of the reasons I throw the events is people need to see that SlimeVR is actually a good tracking solution. Like for me, you know, like I do this stuff every day. It's very like easy for me because I have a lot of experience, but your first experiences with slime can oftentimes be really difficult. And that was one of the reasons I started these things, was like just to kind of handhold people through it. Like, look, you know, you're not alone. You got a whole community with you. And you can kind of rely on this community. There's a lot of people now that I've trained up that actually know how to do all these little details that are, you know, it's kind of slime is kind of like a manual transmission car versus like Vives being an automatic, you know, and that's kind of a quick, short and easy way to think of it. But you have to learn how to use these things, and I've learned them well, so I'm able to focus on more things like community and just talking and chatting, doing yoga and stuff like that. That's like a little more just, you know, doing the experience in VR. It's not all like, you know, God, slime. It's very much just existing, being able to have my whole body, my whole existence can be in the VR, like completely. The immersion level has gone up massively. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to,
oh, wow.
I can keep going though.
Oh.
I got a lot in me. I can.
Oh. Please don't feel like you have to apologize. I didn't want to interrupt you. You seemed like you were in a groove, and I wanted you to continue speaking what was on your mind. I do have a few questions though. Have you with slimes, are they beginner friendly at all in terms of like getting into or using, or is it something you're gonna have to like be walked through as a beginner?
I'd say it does take like about a week or so to really get the feel of them. They are not the most beginner friendly right now, I'd say, mainly because the software is improving, it's under active development. And right now, like it's like if you just followed the server like as is right now, it would be a little bit like, oh, I don't know, I wouldn't give you maybe the greatest odds at getting like really good tracking. On the other side, I made the calibration guide partially just to help the community out. Like, this is what I like to do, is also make these tutorials that just make that process a little bit easier for everyone. Visual tutorials sometimes helps a lot more to actually see where the trackers are and, like, you know, where they're supposed to be. This basic stuff is like a lot of times assumed. And, you know, like I've used these a lot, so I have like a little bit of experience in what works best for me, but it doesn't always work well for everyone. So like I have a fairly skinny frame. Sometimes people with larger frames, you know, they need to put the trackers in different places. And I like to kind of, you know, I like learning about these things. We're actually discovering all as a community how to work the best. I take in input from the whole community and like kind of go, oh, this works, like check it out, like you try it now. You know, we're all beta testing together. I try and bring everybody together sort of like as a big old unit, a slime gang unit. You know, like we're here together working on this thing. It's and that's one of the things that I think really separates people. Come into the server and they see that there's like, and Fia came in and kind of saw this like community that had developed, and it was like, this wasn't just something that just randomly happened. This is something that was like kind of intentionally designed to like bring people in. And that's one of the things about my videos. Sometimes people are curious, you just like, they're all music videos basically, with very few exceptions. And I was like, one of the things that I wanted to show is just show people the tracking. Like, not talk about it, not be like, oh, this and that. Oh, my knee is raising up and this and like that. It's like actually just watch. It engages a different part of the brain along with the music when you watch something happening, because then you're picking up on subtle cues and subtle stuff in the actions. And it's very stylized because I'm an artist. I first and foremost consider myself an artist who uses full body tracking. Not like a full body tracking person that then does art. It's like I've been doing art my whole life. And like this right here, this is actually graffiti that I did in VR that I then put onto the top to kind of show off, you know, a little bit of graffiti art. I have videos of that, and it's just VR is amazing for things like that. It's free real estate. You can just go and just like tag a whole wall with your friends and just, you know, have a really great time and make all kinds of silly art, and, you know, and there's no cost to it and there's no cleanup. And it's just, that's one of the nicest things about it, is I found that in being in VR in full body, I personally made changes in my living area. So I mentioned how in Connect, I was kind of there stuck in front of the camera, and like you can't spin and you can't do much and you can't really walk around, you can't really lay down too well, you can't really do much of anything too well. You're kind of limited to just what you got. And after I made my first slimes, the first thing I did, I swear, was just spin around and just be like, I can spin. Oh my God, I can spin. So that was like one of my very first videos was spinning. And it just kind of went from there.
Oh.
So one of the things that I found that aside from slimes, I'd like to talk about like the community and people that, you know, that have been around me during this whole experience. I've made friends with some really smart people. These devs are extremely smart. Like, so Arimal, Uriel, I got to call out Aaron just for starting this whole thing. Thank you so much. And you know, there's like Lucas, Nighty Beast, and a whole bunch of others. Butterscotch. I can't say enough about Butterscotch. Butterscotch is just amazing. The developer that made Autobone, the auto proportion stuff, and just fun, cool individuals, all of them. And I kind of came in and like sort of somehow my own little contributions, on the GitHub to the actual server, I joke about it's like two little tiny, it's probably typos that I helped fix or something that got added in or whatever, like the most minorest contributions that are, but I'm a contributor mainly because of the videos and just the energy that I bring to the whole scene, just kind of like providing a familiar person that, and I know a lot about the tech, so it's like that's half the time I'm just helping people like figure it out. But to answer your question, it is a little tricky for beginners, but you got to give it a chance. And I feel like, if people just try it on and they don't get good results immediately without consulting what to do or watching a video or getting a sense of what's happening, that's kind of on you. That's like not on Slime. It's more like you need to maybe, and I don't want to put it on the person using it, but it is a little bit of a skill issue, I hate to say. But that's why I'm here to help. I'm here to help, so we can get past those. And I have my own skill issues too with this stuff. So, like I joke about it, some days are good tracking days and some days are bad tracking days. And
Fair.
Internet, VR.
Well, even with Vive, it's the exact same issue. Some days it wants to work, other days your legs go on an adventure to space. So I do have another question for you. Back in the beginning, when you first started getting into your slimes, what made you want to join in the community and do content for them? What were some of your first steps there like?
I'd say, okay, so this kind of comes back to my life experience and how I've I don't want to say dedicated myself to having fun, but that there was a point in time when I was about 10 years old that I kind of had this profound, like one of those aha moments where I was like, I don't want to exactly just grow up and become like one of these adults that I see just working, slaving away 9 to 5, doing the thing, doing the grind, rat race. I was like, I want to have fun. I want to try and make sure I have a lot of fun during my life. And I kind of stuck to that, got video games, became a gamer. And really that carries over into this. I want more people to have more fun. And the tutorials and the videos showing me having fun, like that's actually like the vibe. I maybe take a lot of film and I don't necessarily show all of it like all the time, but I show bits that I go, wow, that was really fun. I want to show that, so like that's kind of the goal, and bringing the community in with the vibe of fun. And then some of them turn out to be big brains and they're just like, wait a minute, I like this cyberpunk vibe. Everybody's like getting together and like, let's make some new shit together, like, sorry.
We don't
demonetized.
We don't care if you swear, and I think YouTube doesn't like us for it, but we just want people being themselves. So if you're gonna swear, feel free.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm usually, Fern knows I'm usually kind of a sweary kind of person, so I don't hold back too.
Holy fucking
like
Christ! I hope we don't get in trouble
I
for saying
I don't
something
fucking swear.
explicit.
I never fucking swear.
Never.
Who would fucking do that? Jeez. Okay, so yeah, I would say the community kind of gets a kick out of that too, because I'm a little bit I joke about I might get canceled and this and that and the other thing, but honestly I'm just having fun. And when people realize it's fun in good faith, I'm actually here to help you out, then it's like, oh well, Z's okay, like that's actually just let Z have some fun, so I'm like, yay, get to have some fun.
Oh, so in the beginning, what drew you to the slime community, like within the servers and doing stuff with them? What made you want to take a step into it?
Being among the first people that were really experimenting with them and kind of putting them on and building them and getting them. Here's what happened is I managed to get the good IMUs, the B&O IMUs that were fairly cheap at the time that I purchased them. And then there was a chip shortage that happened, pandemic chip shortage, all this stuff happened that made these prices go from like $13 US to like over 100 in some cases per tracker, basically, per IMU. And that made it unobtainable for most people that wanted to have slimes. They were like, this is too expensive. You're talking about $1,000 for a 10 tracker set. This is not this is not cheap FBT for the masses. This is expensive. And so we worked on, there was like MPUs that were kind of these cheap, really bottom of the barrel IMUs, but they were available. So we started using them. Me and Fern and other people started kind of making our sets out of that, kind of proving that it's available. It's here. You can still make full body. It's just going to be pretty jank. It's going to have a lot of drift. There's going to be a lot of, your leg, you're going to need to do the resets a lot kind of thing, which was not so great. And helping the community by showing, oh, there's a keybind. This is kind of how I actually got my contributor role. Was I saw there was a need for people to have a visual guide to show how to keybind their controller to do the reset. So you could just be standing there and do a reset like that easy using the control. And I made the video, and that was kind of one of the ones that they went, oh, this is cool. We're going to pin that. And thank you. That helped out a lot. And I was like, hey, this is cool. Like that made life a lot easier for everyone instead of having to like go to their PC and try and, click reset and then stand, do the thing. You got it like right on your hand and super easy. So the gratification of helping people with that tutorial kind of spawned some of the tutorials. I would say my tutorial content's probably maybe less than 10% of my entire channel, honestly. But it's good. It's well-meaning, and it's there. It's there for people. I don't do tutorials on everything. There's a lot of stuff that's like, oh, Mystical did a tutorial on this and that. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll go with that. Credit where credit's due. Thank you, Mystical. But for my own little, I know a little tips and tricks. I'm actually working on a mocap video that's going to show all 20 trackers that I've been using recently for motion capture, and how I've made them custom fit and comfortable so that I can wear them the entire setup and not really even notice it. Just be kind of like, oh, this feels normal. Not, nothing, I could go to sleep in it kind of thing. But that's, again, custom straps. One of the cool things that's happened because of my heavy involvement in beta testing is I managed to get a review set sent to me directly from the SlimeVR company. Wow. And that was really cool. That was the first time I ever got any like, it was some serious swag. It was like development set. I had the choice of development set or review set, and I was like, I'm a contributor. I don't know, like, it kind of came out to be a review set, but it said developer set, and so I guess it's kind of both. But then also just recently, I got a set from Rosdale, who makes these DIY trackers, and they're like, really high quality, good straps, the whole 9 yards. They're like really good trackers, and then that has allowed me to do the 20 tracker setup comfortably. Otherwise it was pretty rough. But yeah, getting good gear is kind of half the thing. I try out all this stuff, I test it, I give people my opinions on it, like, I think this works, oh, that didn't work as well. And I take feedback. Like, a lot of times people don't understand, like, I'm willing to like go and try stuff for them, like, oh, can you, I wanted to see what a 5+1 set looks like, and it's like, oh, half an hour later I'm over there like, this is what it looks like, here's what you can do. And they're like, that answered my question. Sometimes people ask, like, can you spin on a pull? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it's like, one moment, challenge accepted. So there's a lot of content that doesn't make it to YouTube that's just for the Discord that people have asked questions, and this mocap and things like that. So, if you're interested in more content, by all means, let me know. But yeah.
Oh, okay. So what were some of your first steps in VRchat like as well, may I ask? What, like when you first hopped in here and that as that funny half body?
Oh, okay. So my first foray into VRchat, I came in here with some friends that were from Rust. And they were like, yeah, let's go check it out. Let's go try this VRchat thing. You can be an anime girl. And I was like, what? Okay. Sure, let's try it. Let's try this on, see what's up, So we roll in and we go to a public instance. And as you well know, public instances in VRchat are kind of a crapshoot. But it was a decent one. It was fairly decent. There was just maybe a Spider-Man in a wheelchair asking for a lap dance because it was his last day on Earth. He was pretty sure he was going to die. So we all kind of helped out. You know, because you know it's a dying wish. As you know, you kind of have to, you know, you help a fellow spider person out. You know, with they're about to die. So so that was an interesting experience to start off VRchat with. And then after that, I'd say it was pretty much just going around trying on avatars, going to different worlds, and sort of just getting a sense of like what this whole interesting experience was about. And I like it. You know, honestly, going to like test pilots was maybe one of the first. Oh, Fern took me to the house on the hillside. That cool. It's like the cabin on the hillside one. That is one of the coolest places ever. Just for the fractals, like it just has the whole world fills up with fractals, and you're just looking around, just going, this is definitely not my regular reality. And I think that's, I guess, to start boiling it down, what I like most about VR is that there's so many different worlds that are sort of like portals to other dimensions, and it allows me to just go, like, if I'm just like in the mood to go somewhere chill, I can just go and find a cool chill world. Or if I want to go somewhere that's just like flashing lights happening, you know, or like something artistic. And I feel like that's kind of part of what I'm also adding to this whole mix, especially with like the RG beans, you know, playing with my virtual band with Fern and the rest of them, and doing like, you know, these events. It's kind of adding to the virtual community experience. You know, like we're here actually, you know, people have walked away from it going, wow, this is the first time I've ever done yoga in VR, and that was actually pretty fun. You know, like, because I'm a goofball. I ham it up. You know, we'll be doing stretches, and I'll be just like, you know, all right, now we're reaching for the big screen beyond, you know, like, let's get that big screen beyond. Oh, it's too expensive. Forget it. All right. Now we're gonna go for the Pimax over here. Oh wait, no, wait, the software. Oh, forget it. You know, like, and just funny stuff like that. You know, we goof around, we play. We basically, this is how you know, like in VR chat, how do you play the game? You have fun. And so I have as much fun as I can reasonably have. Like when I come into VR, I don't come into here to just, I'm just going to go and just like, I don't know, just like stand in front of the mirror or something, like, and go, you know, like that kind of thing. I have activities in mind. I'll be coming in for a mission. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to come in and we're going to practice. Okay, Fern's, you know, ready to practice. So I'm going to get out, you know, I got my microphone, you know, and I'll just be like ready to practice with the band, or, you know, whatever it is that we're doing. You know, we kind of have a mission here to just have maximum fun. And you know, sometimes you got to have fun.
That kind of fun. I see. I won't pry on that.
I got a question for you. What is the metaverse? What's the metaverse mean to you?
Oh, that's a marketing term. It doesn't really mean anything to me other than the fact that, you know, Meta created that term to sell headsets. But to me, I would say the metaverse, if you wanted to get back to the more broad meaning of it, it is existing in virtual spaces. And that doesn't necessarily mean just VR. Like, I've been able to use the slimes to VTube and like do all kinds of VTubing stuff using AI voices. I've also been able to do motion capture. I mentioned the motion capture is interesting because this is potentially industry disrupting. Cheap mocap suit, you know, you could put together slimes and have a 20 tracker motion capture suit for like a fraction of the cost that the bigger, you know, these motion capture companies are charging for roughly equivalent stuff. And for the starter person, you know, somebody that's just getting into mocap, this is like an excellent way to learn. Even if you do plan to eventually go on and like use the really expensive Hollywood stuff, this is a way to just get your foot in the door, you know, boom, I can actually do full body mocap. And it can be done with as little as 5 trackers now. Wild, just the development alone of Slime. Because Virtual Desktop allows passing through of the Quest data, I've been able to actually do full body mocap with like 5 trackers, just one here and a couple on the legs and a couple on the waist. And I'm in Unity and in Blender recording full body accurate motion. So it's very accessible. And I guess that's part of what I get excited about this whole thing is, I'm part of something that's exciting. It's a cyberpunk reality. Like what we're doing is kind of like, sometimes I've likened it to when I'm helping people get their trackers sorted out, and we're doing the whole thing. We're like doing the ski pose and getting the whole thing, and then finally they get it, and they're like, and they do this. Like this is the classic thing that I see people do. They go, "Oh, got legs. Yo, got legs." And then sometimes if they've had Connect, it really is the spin. Like so yeah, it's kind of likening to, having somebody that's maybe had like, the inability to have legs. Like VRChat's been out for quite a long time. So there's a lot of people out there that have never had legs. And they're like coming in after years of not having legs, and then suddenly they get legs, and it's just it's get the happy
Look out
dance,
when I
you
get
get the
mine.
happy.
Look out when I
Right?
get mine. I'm gonna be all over the fucking place.
People do ask
shit.
about the enterprise resource planning and things like that. And I mean, I will assure you, like whatever you can do in real life, and like you can run into walls and stuff, and like you can be a jackass, and you can, I'm surprised QuizCrit's reality hasn't picked up on these, because this is like the stuff, like people do all kinds of things. Like here, I'll give you an example.
Hello, I'm going to quickly interrupt your video. Please come follow us on any of our socials. We have a card down that way in the description, metaversedegen.co. You can find us on Discord. You can find us on Twitter, which X, whatever. Right here in this space, you'll see the @ you can find me, Lion. And as well, we have a Patreon, which we've started a whole other show as a thank you for those who've signed up, such as Training Fangs, Forbidden Zero, and Niche. So thank you all for watching the video on how these games are going. I'll leave you to the rest of it. Enjoy.
For the show. So
some just hit the floor.
It was my ladder that I had to move out of the way. I have kind of a interesting setup where I basically have two car canopies set up next to each other. So I have a long play space. It allows me to actually, I don't know if you can follow track on me walking around, but I'm over here. It lets me walk.
Well, there goes our guest today. We'll come back later at 5.
Oh no! Coming back. I'm coming back.
Oh, he's returning. Oh, I know. He had to go pee.
Okay.
He had to go pee. Oh, welcome back.
Right. That was a quick pee.
Yeah, real quick pee.
So one of the things that about Slime is that it made it so that the premium then becomes having space to do shenanigans and hijinks and fun stuff. So if you would, can you back the camera up to roughly where you're standing?
Yeah.
And then you can bring it down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a forward tumble on the concrete, on the cobblestones here. This will be great.
I'll move out of the way.
Here, I'll back up just a wee bit. But I can do this a couple of times. I can do this a couple of times so you can get a good vibe on it. So basically, like tumbling, like so.
Oh.
Like that. I don't know if that was in frame.
It was in frame. I got the whole thing. You're a lot more daring than me. I would not do a tumble where the expensive headset will be going really quickly at the ground.
I mean, this is not my first headset, okay? Let's put it like that. This is not my first headset. I've learned to warn people to tighten on the headset.
You got to realize this clown over here takes a controller and grenades it by hitting his fucking end tape.
Oh no.
Well, we were at the time we were in we were in the forest, and one of the cannibals comes running at me from the side, and I panic at that moment. So I take the spear in my hand and I thrusted it really quickly directly into my nightstand, obliterating the controller on impact. I was recording it too. If you go back and watch it, you can listen to the crunch. You can just hear the as the thing just breaks.
Fuck.
No.
Yeah. Oh, he just blew it apart. Then
Classic.
he threw it away Daddy threw it away. He could have sent it to me because I want to tear one apart.
Oh, so
All right. Yeah.
what keeps you coming back to
I can
VR?
do some more action footage. The fun of it. Honestly, I personally find myself thinking up new things to try and new ways to amuse myself in here. Like I've learned how, with Vern's help, to do Blender, to do Unity, to create my own avatar kind of stuff, which is awesome. Like 2 years ago, I didn't know how to do that. Like now, I'm like, huh, yeah, that's pretty not easy. I will not say easy, but I will say I can do it. And things that just give me entertainment.
Oh,
That
next
kind of
week
stuff,
we're gonna put
I mean-
the milkshake with the milk and add the stuff to it, and we're gonna have our own frosty milkshake done by ZRock.
Oh,
Right.
So, back in the beginning, also as well, what made you want to do content creation as well? What made you want to do VR content
Mhm.
creation in the music, or the music videos and all the slime tutorials? What led to the decision of starting that?
I would say there's a level of when you're in VR and you're in your avatar, you're experiencing it and you're there. It's first person to you. And for me, it was like seeing it getting recorded and then, cutting it so that I thought it would look artistic and look neat. It became kind of a thing where I got to see what others got to see too, like, so dancing, like it was like, what does the avatar actually look like when dancing? And some of it is showing off slime, and some of it was also like kind of just becoming I don't know, I don't want to say my own fan, but like my own fan. Like I was like, I wanted to make the content that I wanted to see, and I wasn't seeing anybody doing that content, so I was like, I'll do it. I'll make my own content that like I like. And it's gotten to the point where I'm always surprised when I look at my subscriber count, and I'm like, y'all have come along like to see my derpy butt like having fun with VR, and it's like, I'm glad everybody thought it was entertaining enough to keep it keeps me going, because then it's fun. Then it's like, hey, I throw something out there and people are like, wow, that looks neat, And a little bit of like, I don't crave the attention from it. It's more just like, it's nice to do art and then have people appreciate it. Like, so that's kind of how I look at it.
Okay. So within the whole process of everything you shared between being in the slime community, making content, and getting involved with slime, what kinds of things have you learned, or what have been some of your favorite moments from the whole process and experience?
For me, the making of friends is the primary, like, I think that's the biggest benefit I had. So a little past history about myself, I had a really great best friend who passed away kind of right before I got into VR. And it kind of left sort of an open space. That was the kind of the friend that I spent every day with, working on whatever project that we had. And losing that friend kind of made me have a realization that you got to really like take life and just really go for it. Just go for it. Like, do what you want to do. Don't hold back. Like, so for me, it was partially a lesson in myself to like push myself a little more out there, become a little less introverted, and like just doing my own thing, and be more like expressive. And one of the biggest things people always talk about is they're like, oh, well, getting full body will allow me to be more expressive. And it's true to a certain degree, but I think there's more to it. There's more like, you get to be expressive, but you also get to meet a whole nother community that's like literally right there, and you can join in at any time. It's like Fern will just be like, hey, let's jump in, we'll do something, and it's like, boom, all of a sudden I'm having fun with my friends. And there's an immediacy to that that's just fantastic. I just love the fact that I can just be, I'm just like eating cereal, and then, oh, I can go like, jump on stage and be just jamming out or having fun or flying a plane or doing whatever. I mean, and dancing and, or even even just hanging out and just chatting with people, which I can do. I can do that. It's possible. It's possible. I do that sometimes. I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it.
That last bit kind of reminds
I
me
do
of like,
have.
I'm hip. I'm one of the kiddos.
Yeah.
I could do it.
Right.
I can do it. I can ride my bicycle off the garage. It's no big deal. I don't go boom and just go up my ass. No big deal. I hurt when the seat lands. No big deal.
I don't VR mute. I VR chat.
You know, that's a good point.
It's all of what you've. All right. Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't want to interrupt. You know how it is. We interrupt a lot of people here, but it's usually just us. Oh, since you've been doing what you've been doing and everything else like this, what's one of the difficult things that you're doing besides kicking your legs around like you just peed down one?
Say what now? What's one of the most difficult things?
One of the difficult things that you've done that you thought, there's no way in hell that you've, from the slimes to what you're doing now, what is one of the things that you've had that you thought you'd never get through it and you did?
Okay, that's a tough question. Very tough question. I would say probably it's straight. It's strange to say it, but struggling through and having Fern help me with a lot of the avatar stuff in Blender and Unity, and then making that work in VRChat. That is some challenging stuff, and there have been many times when a project just completely just died on me, and I was just like, oh no, like Inferno just be like, it happened. This is normal. This is normal. It happens to everyone. But it's frustrating. And in contrast, VRChat, like in everything that I've had happen in VRChat, the toughest things I've had in VRChat have been, sometimes there have been emergencies at events. Just the other day, we had somebody that was at the yoga event and unfortunately breathed a little too deep and clunked right over. And sometimes in VR, you don't know, like people are laughing and they're thinking it's an actual pratfall, like, oh, he, jokingly just fell over. No, he actually passed out. He woke up groggy, got back up, was like, yeah, when you have like the black just comes, your vision fades, and that's what happened to me. And I was like, wow, you were just breathing and it was too much oxygen, too quick. So, things like that was like, oh no, like I got to be more careful. Like just breathing was dangerous. I've had people accidentally cut themselves at dance, even though I warned them explicitly, everybody, like clear your play space. That's one of the biggest things about full body tracking is that people don't understand that when you first, you got to get used to having the space around you. Sometimes it can help to have a mat underneath your feet so you know where your boundaries are. But there's a lot of experiences like that. Even in Blade and Sorcery, I mean, I've had my own experiences where I've knocked over an entire box just because I was just like, yeah, and it kicked the box over and everything went flying. And I was like, oh no. Classic Blade and Sorcery maneuver. Ow, I'm bleeding, Yeah, that's probably the most difficult stuff is the 3D avatar making stuff. But I've gotten through it.
Oh, so I'm gonna ask you another question, flashing back a little bit to some things you've mentioned earlier. What is the RG Beans, and how did you get involved with it?
Okay, so that's a good one. So the story behind that is Fern, my best friend, he hits me up in DMs and he's like, get on right now. You got to come see this. You got to come see this. And I'm like, what? He's like, just come right now. And I'm like, oh okay, get all ready, get in there, boom. Hey, what's going on? What is this? And we're at this place called the Strays Theater. And what it is, it's a furry venue. These furries put together this whole cool like stage that's got like, a backstage with a bunch of instruments and all the cool stuff that you can use and perform with. And we roll in there and I'm like, what is it? It's like almost, it was already in session. And it had a bunch of furries up there just doing like some crazy songs and dancing. and they had like the pirate ship song and all this cool. It was like entertainment. Like a whole bunch of different people had made a whole panorama of entertainment just to like let us have fun watching it. And I was like, it blew me away during the thing. I was like, this is fantastic. I love it. This is VR chat. Like I've never seen anything like this. Is real like performance happening in front of me. A real event happened just right here. And I was just like that right outside. We walked outside after the show was over, and I was telling Fern, I was just so hyped. I was like, Fern, we got to do this. We got to do this. And Fern's like, yeah, I know. Like, so Fern comes up with, the RG Beans, basically. It's like a furry collective band, sort of cyberpunk, cyber future, techno, electro, rock and roll, but kind of on that, VR. It's a VR band. And we did a first show at the Strays Theater, and it was pretty rough. We had more enthusiasm and we practiced so much for it, and there was all this like build up and everything, and then we kind of realized like, oh, this isn't as hard as we thought, like, but we still do need to kind of work together to choreograph and do the stuff. But the first show went off reasonably well. Everybody had a good time, and it was like, we're gonna do more of this, but we realized immediately after that first show that we were already had outgrown the venue. And Fern started making worlds and basically started creating and fabricating entire VRChat worlds that were just arena worlds for us, the RGBs, to perform in. And it kind of went from there. We just started doing like about every month or so. We'd throw a show and just, lights and lasers and effects and fire and everything, and just us just absolutely going nuts up on stage in full body. And me with my, fairly large play space, I'm able to kind of stalk up and down the stage and kind of give it that extra, energy that you kind of want to have in a live performance. And so that's basically the story of it. We've been doing these for quite a long time now, and every time we do it, we get like a pretty awesome reaction, because people don't often see something that's been choreographed and put together as a show, as a complete full on, like, you get the experience. You come to it and you feel like afterwards you're like, I just went to a full on arena rock like thing, like, wow, like. So it's not like nobody else is doing this, but nobody else is doing it like us, because this is all very custom and very our style. And Fern's done the lion's share of the work, but it's a team effort, and everybody that's in the band basically comes to practices. We work together, we talk about it, we get things sorted out to make a big impression. We like to have every show be its own unique like thing. So like if you missed those early shows, we're probably not going to do stuff like that ever again. And the ones coming up in the future and things going forward, it's all very unique. So that's part of the draw, is that this is not just recycled content that and I don't want to diss on anybody that's doing that, but that we're doing a thing here that's very artistic, and it's a focused effort. So the people that are part of it are like really good friends, and we like to work together. It's having fun, but it's also a little bit of effort, but it's the end result, everybody has more fun, which is my end goal.
Okay, so how much preparation does it take for a show between choreography and the music?
Okay, so that's a good question. Fern does the majority of the organization, the music, the set pieces. We really come up there and we just need to know our parts. So usually 2 solid practices allows us to get a sense of what the stage is going to be like, what the performance is going to feel like, how things are going to segue, what the overall like feeling is of the whole thing. We do need to kind of be aware that sometimes people drop out. So there's a cross training that goes on, where say one of the other singers in the band drops out, or some guitarist drops out, is we're able to cover for them. So we do a little bit of practice where, oh, somebody dropped out, and then jump in and you try and make it as seamless as possible. So the audience just kind of doesn't really maybe, they'll maybe see somebody left, but they'll be like, it picks up and it just goes by them. So now everybody that's watching our concert's going to be like, oh, that's their trick. Aha. Here's one funny little story I'd like to relate is one of our first shows I think it was our first show as the RG Beans. What we did was, because we only had 3 members, it was me, Fern, and Momo, and we kind of we were like, we want to mix things up, so we were gonna we changed our avatars. So I'd start as this, and then I'd change to that, and then Fern would change, and then Momo would change. And because of the way the stage and all the stuff was set up, somebody came up to Fern after the show and was like, wow, you guys had so many people in your band. Can I meet them all? And we're like, it was just us. It was just us 3. Like that was it. Like we just changed abbeys. Like it was pretty funny.
Oh,
that'd be a trip. Yeah, we got 6 groups here. We got the 6 band here and everything else like this. Hold on. I'll go get the guys. So they're in the back in the private section. I'll go get them and bring them out to you. That's what I want to do.
Right.
Just move them on out here.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
Oh. Yeah. So what have been some of your favorite moments with doing the shows with the RG Beans?
Oh boy. Okay, so my favorite most. Oh boy, there's a lot. Okay, so there's certain shows that we did on a stage called RG Bean's Special Dark Stage. There's some of my all-time favorites. They just contained that vibe of you just got invited to a cyberpunk club. The band on stage is just wrecking everything. It's just flashing lights. You're in a dark arena. Everything's just kind of pulsating. There's a whole bunch of people around you, and it just had that rave vibe. And there was something to Special Dark that those particular stage. We did a few shows there, and those shows all to me are some of my all-time had everything you want to have as a virtual rock star. It had it all. It had all that stuff. I'd end the show and I'd just be drenched in sweat from just having absolutely thrown myself into the performance. And the stage is kind of smaller and has this more in close vibe where it's just you and the audience, and then after the show you jump down, you kind of get into the mosh pit down there with everybody and kind of just vibe. Do the after party. But that's one of my favorite stuff. But then more recently, Fern made a stage called Toe Beans, Temple of Epilepsy. And that stage is a giant pyramid, and it's got these 2 huge Anubis statues on each side, and it's all lasered, and there's the Anubis statues have fire coming out of the mouths, and it's all this wild stuff of flying carpets cruising through that you can ride. There's rue things you can throw around, all kinds of stuff. But on top of that, basically the stage itself is just this big ass stage that lets us really perform. And those performances on Toe Bean's stage are among also my favorites in a different way. That's more I don't want to spoil it, but there's a point where during the concert, towards the end, a UFO comes and lifts us up and takes us away. And it's it's just so dramatic, and it's one of those things where you've been watching the whole show, and then all of a sudden just everybody just, and then and then we just bomb it down on top of everybody. But there's moments like that where you're kind of it's gonna happen, and the audience kind of just gets to watch this whole thing, this whole story unfold in front of because the songs are themed. Fern sometimes shows us, tells us there's a story behind the music that we're gonna kind of not necessarily follow it, but there's a vibe, and we kind of try and make. We paint the story with the mix that's being produced, and we kind of try and bring that to the people.
Oh, so
Yeah.
where does VR stand in terms of performances? Is it better than what you would think real life would be, or is it worse? And where is its benefits, I guess?
Okay, funny question, but yeah, I would say real life performance is more, you can have more people at a real life performance than you can in VR chat with less frame loss. I would say that's the biggest issue with some of our biggest concerts when we had like 50, 60 people or more. Like it started pushing world limits at many points along the way. It gets a little rough. Not gonna lie, it gets a little rough frame wise. You got to turn stuff off. You got to kind of like, start optimizing for performance and things like that. Whereas in real life, it's really, that's not an issue. It's mainly then you just don't want to riot, breaking out. Otherwise, it's been actually really awesome because of the fact that you can jump in, have your entire venue all pre-set up for you. It's all there. All you got to do is like make sure everybody's there and the whole thing is ready to go. And then you just bust a move. So convenience, a lot like how the art and graffiti and stuff like that is. You get the immediacy of getting to have the experience and not having to do any cleanup. No road crew, no, none of that stuff. It's just straight to the action, to the just headbang, let's go. Tighten on your headset. We're about to go hard. Like just have an absolute blast. Yeah, so main thing I'd say is that the concerts themselves are an outlet that it allows us to express ourselves in our full body. I don't think we could do this without having full body tracking. There's just no way to express like how you can turn and move and practice and high kick and just be like completely doing your thing in full body on a stage. And yeah, it's really fun to do. I highly recommend it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much, ZRock, for this last hour and chatting with us and let us get to meet you. So
yes,
thank you.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to have come here and hang out. Really fun.
Where can the audience find you if they wish to find you?
My DMs are usually, just my name, ZRock35. I'm oftentimes in the SlimeVR server. I'm a moderator there, and that's where I kind of do most of my hanging out stuff. But yeah, basically just DM me if you're interested in what I'm up to.
Okay. Well, Raptor, you know the thing.
Yes, I do. No matter what, like I always say, folks, if you got the energy and the heart, like the person that's standing behind me trying to sneak up and step on me, no matter what the ordeal is, no matter how far you want to go, the dream is there. Just run with it and kick it in the balls. And guess what? You end up getting a full motion bodily kick and hope God, and no. Here we go, folks. See you around. Bye. I'm out of here.